All right, hello everybody. This is Laser Brains. I am Michael, and as always, I'm joined by
Joshua Merville, and today we're going to be talking about our first talkie.
our first talkie.
Yeah.
One of the first talkies.
Right.
Yes, there's a lot to talk about, a lot to explain, but first I want to introduce our co-host, Champ Ian,
Hey, how's it going?
co-owner of Meteor,
How's
host
everyone
of
doing
Movie
tonight?
Night. Yeah.
How's everyone
Uniplex.
feeling after seeing this ancient film that we're reviewing on a podcast called Laser Brains? They invented lasers in the 1940s.
we're a little speechless, but that's
Yeah.
okay because we got a lot of time to fill, so we're gonna have to get that speech back. We're gonna talk a lot about this movie tonight, and to celebrate, we have a special guest with his low-cut shirt here, showing off his chest.
Oh, damn.
We got Nick. Thanks for joining us.
And all the hair that does not reside on it. And before we start, I'm going to advise all the viewers at home, please do not squint when you're watching this review. Please do not squint.
Okay.
This
Yes.
is Charlie Chaplin
We have to
behind
explain,
us.
yeah. So, some of our viewers might not be familiar with Charlie Chaplin. Is anyone here? Would anyone like to explain? Nick, would you like to explain who Charlie Chaplin was?
Kind of in a nutshell, Charlie Chaplin was one of the pioneering comedy stars of the silent era. And as I understand it, as a layman, not someone who's studied film, this was kind of a watershed moment for Charlie Chaplin. As we'd already mentioned, this was his first talkie.
Right.
So this was something that was seen with a bit of trepidation, but
Yes.
I think we can see by the reception of it at the time and by us here, he knocked it out of the park and made that leap.
Yes. So yes, he'd mostly done silent films, and as we know, at that time, all films were silent because they did not know how to synchronize recorded sound to the film. I know that one of his previous films, there was at least one sound. There was one film he did where he's like, well, I got to have a sound somewhere. So he incorporated the sound of a door slamming.
Interesting.
I don't remember which film it was. It might have been City Lights. I might be wrong about that.
Would that have been something that was recorded and like brought on a disc to the
don't-
theater, or did they have a door in the theater that somebody had to
No,
slam?
I think it
Well,
was-
yeah.
I'm
because-
asking seriously.
No,
because
I know what you're saying, because back in those days when they showed silent films, they would have a guy with an organ playing music off on
Right.
the side. They would be like, "Oh, now it's funny. Now it's scary." But I believe it was City Lights was the first time where he's like, "Okay, we have this thing called sound coming in. I'm gonna incorporate a sound effect, and it's synchronized to this exact moment where a door is slamming." And that was the first time, like maybe the rest of the film was music, but that was the only moment where he had a sound effect. Whereas
Interesting.
this movie, I believe, was the first movie he did where he had talking,
Yeah.
actual talking.
yeah, it was easier to synchronize just music.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to worry about your mouth
Exactly.
lining up with everything. If that was
Exactly.
off by a second, it's fine.
Right.
But it took some technological ingenuity to get this sort of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is again, we do no research on the show, but we do know that Charlie Chaplin, coincidentally, kind of looks like a certain dictator, doesn't he?
Yeah, because
Oh my goodness.
yeah, I was gonna say everyone at home. Yeah, Charlie Chaplin with that famous toothbrush mustache, which decidedly can't really be in fashion anymore. You'll never believe why.
Yeah.
Was something that he used to great effect through there. And as they say at the first title of the movie, that the resemblance between the great dictator and the Jewish barber is purely coincidental.
Right.
And
Hilarious.
Which is a joke that works on a couple levels.
Yes,
there,
right,
because
definitely.
He's saying that Chaplin's
Yep.
that's a coincidence too.
Exactly. And even just that sets a really good tone for the rest of the movie, even though, as been said already, we were kind of in silence when it ended.
Yeah.
What really holds up kind of right off the bat for this movie is a good message does not a great movie make, but this really ties amazing, timely message, not just now, but even at the time, ahead of his time for that, with just fantastic physical comedy and verbal comedy as well, too. Like, this really is quite a complete package.
This would have held up very well
For
on its
sure.
own, even without the very poignant political message.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there's a lot to say about this. So obviously, Charlie Chaplin's known for his comedy, his physical comedy, his stunts that he would do where with camera trickery, right? Like that's what he was known for. And in this film, even though the film has a story, he still manages to incorporate a lot of that into this film. And he'll have scenes that are just like, you're kind of watching the movie and you're going, okay, now we're going to do this gag. Now we're going to do that gag. and he manages to incorporate it into the story in a way that you could isolate that scene out of the movie, but it still works.
And
right?
I think that he did a really great job of incorporating these gags into the movie, where it didn't feel like, okay, we're at the point in the movie now where we have to do this gag and do like a cutaway. Everything felt like it flowed together really, really well. And what were we were just talking about something that Money Pit.
Yes.
It's kind of the opposite of Money Pit for me, in that, like, I know we disagree. I know we disagree on this, but I think that this is a perfect example of it, like, working so well within the story and everything.
Okay, we're gonna have to defend Money Pit. I mean, every joke in Money Pit fit into what the Money Pit was about. But we're not gonna talk about the Money Pit. We're gonna talk about this movie. Let's talk about this movie. So here's the thing: is when something is, you talked about being holding up and being kind of ahead of its time. There's another way to describe something that's ahead of its time, and that's woke. Okay? Now, we don't always know. This is something, who's that actor? Oh, God, I can't remember his name. He always plays a funny voice. Oh, he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, maybe he wasn't. It doesn't matter. He played the voice of the rabbit on that TV show Happy, based on Grant Morrison's comic book. He plays the voice of a lot of funny characters and a lot of funny things. And he's also a stand-up comedian. He's also an actor. And he made a very good point. He said, I don't try to be woke because I don't know what's not going to be woke in 10 years or 20 years and 30 years. So I don't want to say that I'm ahead of the curve and then find out I'm behind the curve 20 years from now. But this movie, we have to point out, was ahead of the curve, because Charlie Chaplin made this movie before the United States entered World War II.
He released it before they entered World War II, so he was working on it a year or two before.
And the key, and I've pointed, like, I've got into a couple of Facebook arguments, and I've pointed out like Captain America punching out Hitler on the cover of Captain America #1 is woke, because if half the world still supports Hitler, which they did, which the United States did, they were like, whatever, we'll sell him weapons, who gives a shit? If he then portrays Captain America punching out Hitler, then therefore he is woke. He's ahead of the curve. And the same goes for this movie, right? Do we agree with that, right?
Yeah.
Nick?
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me. This is not a fascist podcast.
You're being like, you don't have to agree that Hitler's bad. What?
No. This is not a fascist podcast.
That's a relief.
All opinions are welcome here, right? I just think that, I mean, again, you could also argue that we're the hindsight's 2020, but you're probably not going to find anyone that thinks Hitler was good. Well, maybe in the United States, 2026. But other than that, nowhere else are you going to find anyone that thinks he's great.
Well, if I will say it, I mean, in the States around this point in time, before the United States had declared war, you had the German-American Bund having a giant rally at Madison Square Garden with George Washington surrounded by swastikas. So within America, this was a stance for him to take that was not going to be a slam dunk in the American public. There was still at least a very, very vocal part of the U.S. population that was going to take a lot of umbrage with him going...
Right.
And making fun of someone that there were people in the States that viewed Hitler as a hero.
There were a lot of them. Have you seen the Laurence Olivier The World at War documentary from the 70s or so?
I think so.
It's like a 15-part documentary about the entirety of the Second World War, and it's a good watch. But the very first episode is about the preamble of the Second World War, and there are a handful of American newsreels from right around this time where they are talking about how great Hitler is and how the German people have been invigorated by his leadership. And in retrospect, it's chilling, but it's what people thought at the time. They hadn't clued into this. And Charlie Chaplin was a little woke, apparently.
There's a great quote I read. Of course, I can't remember it because I don't do research, but it was like a fallacy, like a liberal fallacy where we see every violent struggle as being like righteous and heroic, except for the ones that are going on right now. And so we look back in history and we go, oh, isn't it good that women fought for their rights? And isn't it good that black people fought for their civil rights? And then the people that are fighting right now, we go, oh, the troublemakers. They're just, they're disrupting things.
Yeah. So many people looking at the people of Minnesota lately and saying, oh, look at these agitators when they're
Right.
just defending their own,
Yep.
their
They should have
homes.
stayed home. If they would have stayed home, they wouldn't have got murdered. And yet, when we look back at even as recent, like for my life, for my generation, as recent as Nixon, you think, well, obviously everyone was against Nixon, but no, 50% of the people were for Nixon, right? 50% of the people were for segregation. Not 50, we don't know the exact number, but there was a lot of people that were for slavery, that were for Hitler, that wherever it
Yeah.
may be. And it's only in hindsight we go, well, obviously those people were wrong, but there's just as many of those people now that are on the...
Even look at the war in Iraq and how positive
Yeah.
the public sentiment was in 2003
Yeah.
for
Yep.
the invasion
Totally.
of Iraq. And within a year or two, how much that has shifted. So
Right.
looking at those snapshots.
Well, that
of
mission was
time-
accomplished, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. Didn't you see the banner?
Okay, but now we got to talk about this movie. So the first thing I noticed about this movie is that besides it being a talkie, it was rather long, wasn't it? Like 3 hours?
It was over 2 hours, just a hair over 2.
Okay, hair over 2 hours. And we have a room full of people. This was the oldest movie by far we've ever watched, right? It's by a good 2 decades, I think.
Yeah,
a decade and a half.
Doctor Strangelove would have been the
60s?
next.
And
that
no,
was-
don't forget Creature from the Black
Creature.
Lagoon.
Creature from the Black
It was
Lagoon.
50s. So, but at the same time, I noticed everyone was completely enthralled. I don't think anyone, from what I could tell, was bored by the film, right?
Right.
And
And then when the movie ended,
right, we were all
kind of quiet. And normally we clap at the end of the movie, and it took like a couple of seconds. I feel like there was one other movie where we like sat in silence for a little
was it Stand By Me?
That's the one.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
And with this movie, it does not follow the current formula of what a film story should be. It's not like a straight line. It's like you're jumping back and forth between the barber and the dictator for the whole movie. But it's never like, again, it's not a standard Hollywood trope. It's more like you're just seeing what's happening here. You're seeing what's happening here. But I was never bored for 1 second. I was enthralled the whole way through. Did you find that, Nick?
Yeah, because I find that the way to add to that, the way that Charlie Chaplin kind of divvies up the time between the dictator and the barber is not like scientifically like spread evenly made up in a
Right.
boardroom. There's, especially near the last act of the movie, there's a lot more time spent with the dictator. And that really works because the way that he's introducing new characters like the dictator, bacteria in there too.
Right.
He has this kind of innate sense of how to move everything along and still keep everyone really engaged.
Yeah.
And that, I think, doesn't take away from the fact that when, there's parts of the movie that are with the barber, those aren't necessarily paced slower or faster, but the gags that he's choosing to do are different, even within the realm of physical comedy.
Right.
Like even just the fact that the kind of physical comedy that's at the expense of the barber is not the same that's at the expense of the dictator. And that
That's a
really
great
works.
point.
And that, I think, just makes it more interesting to watch as a comedy.
Right. I feel like even the barber kind of laughs at himself a lot in the movie. And I don't think there's any of those characters that like judge him for being a little stupid sometimes or like making mistakes. He just does it and they laugh it off and they continue. Where with the dictator, it is kind of like he's the butt of the joke. And
Yeah,
even
good point.
though his soldiers aren't laughing at him, it does feel more like pointed.
Yeah, the characters are written in a way that the barber is very much more relatable.
Yeah.
So the things that happen to him, they're more wholesome. They're cuter. You can laugh with him and not at him. But the dictator, it's more slapstick. It's more, this guy's an idiot. Buffoonery. Yeah.
It's also interesting that when he comes home, so what happens is, we haven't even talked about the plot, but basically there's a soldier in the he's not German, but he's what was the country?
Tomania.
Tomanian army, we'll say German, who, he's a buffoon in the army, but he ends up saving a German
Like a Commander Schultz.
and then loses his memory. Then when he kind of wakes up, he goes back to his village, or not his village, but the ghetto.
In the ghetto,
He's in the ghetto, and he doesn't remember anything. And so he goes back to work, and he comes out, and he all of a sudden now these soldiers are painting on his wall, on his storefront, Jew, but he doesn't understand like what's happening. Why are you doing this? But it's insane to me because it goes from this like shocking tragedy to slapstick comedy, and it just switches, but you just go with it, right? And now you're laughing at these soldiers falling over and getting hit on the head, and then him getting hit on the head, and then and then it happens again later, and I don't know. I was astonished how well he did it. And how we're able to laugh at it, even though we can see that what's going on is horrific, right?
Which is difficult, I think, a little bit more difficult for us with that benefit of hindsight, to be able to look back and to see these stormtroopers, and they call them stormtroopers,
Right.
which I found that a little bit shocking too.
Yeah.
But to see them painting the word Jew on windows and to know what would happen
Yes.
very shortly afterwards in the real world. And we're looking back at this, and Charlie Chaplin is using this as a framework to do some great physical comedy. And it's two completely different ends of a story. It's horror over here, and you're sort of dancing through it, trying to just get through.
Right.
And it's unsettling, but it's very effective.
Well, and then also showing with the Dictator, like you said, making him out to be a complete buffoon, like, showing him getting his portrait painted, but then he's got to get back to business over here, and then he's doing this and he's doing that. And then that famous scene when, his buddy is telling him that he's going to be the emperor of the world, and he starts playing with the world as a beach ball.
Amazing.
That
Yeah.
scene is just, I don't know.
Every
what
time
it
the
is.
beach ball lands on his head, and he's just kind of like,
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
freaking funny, right?
And it goes on for just long enough. He
Yep.
knows how long to stretch and play with
Yep.
the bit. Like, oh my gosh, every time that he bounced the ball on his ass,
Yes,
So
everyone
good.
exploded.
Yeah.
more and
Yep.
more laughter in here. It's just that, and there's that. I think that is really the mark of the genius of working in comedy in that
Yep.
way, is knowing when to move on to another bit, and also how long to stay with it.
Good point.
And I don't think that there is a single bit that he does in this movie that goes on for too long. And
I agree.
and for the runtime that it is, that is hard. That is hard to nail that many in
Right.
that and have that sense of timing.
there aren't a lot of 2-hour comedies nowadays.
No.
Right. He also I believe Charlie Chaplin once said that it takes him 2 years to write a script. So you figure he's writing it and refining it and refining it and refining it. And now, how many years later, it still holds up, right? That's amazing. Okay.
That's especially amazing because a lot of the things that happen in the movie and a lot of his movies are just physical comedy. So the fact that it is such a refined script,
Yep.
I wonder how much of that is like in the script
Are
how.
And sorry to interrupt, but are you talking just the script, or are you talking like this is a sight gag that he's sort of crafted and this is how he's going to do it? Because I can see it taking a long time, seeing that he's inventing all this stuff as he goes along.
I think it's
there's no
from what
basis
I
for
know,
this happening before.
He's writing a script and he's rewriting it. But part of it is going, okay, now I'm going to have a part where I'm going to walk out on the ledge and be carrying these golf cart or golf clubs.
Yeah.
And I think it's all part of it. And like anything, any gag it might be, it's all, but also the story. So he's refining it. But it took him 2 years, he claims.
So I'm just like, I'm wondering like, okay, the scene on the airplane when he's upside down.
Yes.
So
funny.
how much it's hilarious, and how much of that did he have to come up with all this stuff himself?
I believe 100%. Honestly,
crazy.
from what I know, because you figure he's got to go. Okay, what can I do? Okay, we're gonna be turned upside down. I'm gonna have the watch fall out. I'm gonna have the water. I'm gonna have whatever. And then he has to sit there and write it and refine it. Just like Jerry Seinfeld says that he worked on jokes for years. Like he would say it, then he would rewrite it and say it and rewrite it. So I'm imagining it's the same thing, except he's filming it once but rewriting it
It's crazy.
tons of times.
There's one moment that like stood out to me, and I don't know if it was like my eyes playing tricks on me,
Okay.
or if this was actually like a trick that he did for the movie. But when he is playing with the globe and it's like floating, he's standing behind his desk and he like hits it up, and then he like jumps onto his
That
desk.
was Weird.
And he like barely moves his knees. I feel like it's not like a
He must have-
freestanding jump.
Maybe he jumped backwards and they reversed it.
but
I don't know.
then afterwards he jumps off the front of the desk.
Yeah, there's no cut there.
So
yeah,
I don't
that
remember.
was
Yeah, like
very.
And I noticed
Magical.
that too. You can see under the desk,
You're
and there's
right.
nothing that could have raised up.
Yeah.
Right.
I noticed that too.
yeah.
Okay, so here we are. What is this? 70 years later, and we don't know how he did that trick. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another part of this movie that I was not expecting is that on a technical level, this movie looks like $1 million.
Right.
As funny as the plane scene is, just comedically, those miniatures are incredible.
Yeah.
They and again,
All
we're
of
watching
the
it on a
forced perspective work.
Yep.
is
And
perfect.
we're watching it on a big blown up screen sitting pretty close and nothing looks cheap. It looks
Right.
like absolutely to the nines.
And also, when the plane crashes, that was one of the funniest shots in the movie. It's just so weird. It just flies into the shot and crashes. The guy falls out. It's just weirdly funny. Like, it's almost so weirdly funny. I don't know if he could have planned it that perfectly or if it was just an accident of the way it was filmed. Like this, it just looked right. Like it just looked weird.
And it's funny because some bits in this would probably qualify like in like our time as like anti-jokes
Sure.
as well too. And I can think of when the barber's impersonating the dictator at the rally and he goes to sit on the chair and for like I think like a
love
minute and a
that.
half.
Yes,
for a
the
minute and a
chairs.
half, they're fumbling. There's like
That was
one chair brings up and they
brilliant.
switch it
That was
around.
It's
brilliant.
so good. Yeah.
But that's typical 30s comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
I've spent a whole bunch of time watching old Laurel and Hardy shorts, Three Stooges, Marx Brothers. I cut my teeth on all this stuff as a kid, and you could see he's trying something new here, right?
Yeah.
This big full length feature, but you can also see this is what he's used to.
Yeah, of course. Like the vaudeville tradition that goes back, whatever.
And a corollary to that is that this being his first talkie, you can see the awkwardness in
Yeah.
a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with the sound a lot of the time.
There's times where it's dead silent.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
Dead
no
silent.
room tone
There's
or anything.
no room tone.
the
You're
beginning
right.
of the
Yeah.
They hadn't
movie,
figured it out yet.
he barely talks.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
when he's in war and like he's manning the guns or like that missile
I love that. I
like
love that
launches and just comes
gigantic-
down and it's like spinning. It is completely silent.
Completely
There's no
silent. Yep.
music.
I noticed that,
There's no
yep.
sound effects. It's nothing.
And then you'll
It's-
hear somebody like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But then you'll have other scenes like when the barber's shaving
Yeah.
that guy.
So
and
good.
this is his wheelhouse now.
Yes.
And he's leaning really heavily into what he would do before, which is
Right.
matching everything up to music.
Okay,
Yeah.
this reminds me. Okay, one thing I noticed for the first time, because I've seen this movie before, but I did not notice till tonight. This film directly influenced Bugs Bunny, the Barber of Seville. Holy shit!
Yep. I can see it 100%.
The first thing I noticed was him in the middle of the crowd, when on the street and the crowd's running towards each other, matching the music, that's in that. The barber, the whole barber thing,
Yeah.
shaving, that's in that. Also, when the dictator is on the barber chair.
the chair.
And they're
And
like,
they're
this is,
yeah.
oh my God, it's Bugs Bunny. It's exact.
Another
Yeah.
bit that killed the
Yeah.
going between the dictator bacteria.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Which is funny because that's a bit that's in the trailer, so we had seen that coming. But again, his use of timing and how
Yep.
to use it
Yep.
with the like in concert with the dialog just kills.
Totally right. Totally right.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing. This has nothing to do with the comedy. I thought the photography, like, it looked incredible.
The first shot over the battlefield.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Those
what
trees.
is this? Holy crap. And even, like, the exaggerated size of that giant gun thing you were just
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about,
yeah.
that's like silent era, almost like German expressionism, like exaggerating this gigantic gun with all the rivets on it, just to make that point of the kind of being dwarfed by technology or whatever you want to say. Also, when he's in his palace, whatever you want to call it, the doors are gigantic. The rooms are, the ceilings, right?
That
30
gigantic
feet
backdrop
tall.
behind him of the
Right.
twin crosses.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so it's not just funny; it's also very expressive. It's,
Yeah.
it's and then the way that one street is treated like it's the setting for almost all the gags with the barber,
Yeah.
right? It's and then you know you talked about that opening shot. What about the way that entrance to their dwelling is kind of like under?
Yeah.
It's just there's just so much information you've been given with how much thought is put into all these
For
choices,
sure.
right?
Everything has like levels to it there. Like there is like the main area, and then there's the area behind the gate.
Yep.
And then they go downstairs when they're like hiding the commander. And then she lives on like the second floor.
Right.
He's to the left in the barber shop. And then they go up to the rooftop.
Yes.
And in all of the shots on the rooftop, you can see down and see the barber
Yeah.
shop.
Right.
Like it's so thought out.
Very well thought out. Agree.
And it feels like lived in because everything like it doesn't feel thought out at the same time, right?
Right.
Like it just feels like it naturally everything kind of found its place like that. Like all of
everything
these
connects.
levels.
Everything
Yeah.
connects. Like in a different movie, these might have been wildly different locations just
sure.
because it was easier to film.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think what a lot of that can be boiled down to too is just that sense of craft that's conveyed through this. And I think something that I, again, never seen this before, didn't really have that much of a frame of reference besides, again, bits and pieces of the closing speech. The romance in this is really charming.
Of course, it's always in a Charlie Chaplin film, I agree.
I love that scene of the barber and Hannah when he's
Yep.
and she's talking about being absent-minded and he's doing
Yeah,
it.
I love that.
The dialogue in that, their body language between each other,
Mm-hmm.
again, that I think really plays well at any time.
I think they were married in real life.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Really?
Yeah.
surprised me.
Yeah.
From what I've seen of Charlie Chaplin, like City Lights and Gold Rush, there's always a really good romance underneath everything. Really good, yeah.
and she was a fantastic actor as well.
Yep, she
Yeah,
was.
she was
She was.
great.
You know what's funny? I found her to be very modern. Her interacting style. And,
Yeah.
And the other actor that was really good was the really old white-haired
Yep.
Jewish guy. He was like not acting. He was flawless. I
Yeah.
thought.
That was her, the guy that was looking after her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a really good actor. He stood out, I thought.
And Herring also was an excellent performance as
Yes,
well too.
I agree.
And-
Very
and-
natural.
And not to take away from Hair Garbage, who I think
Yeah.
who was a nice contrast because he was so understated, playing
Right.
off of how bombastic all
Yes.
the other characters are when he's
Yeah,
in the
he
same
was
scene.
almost like not acting at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I
right.
agree.
Again, the kind of the way that everyone is playing off of each other, and again, both of the like A plot or the
Yeah.
A plot or B plot, however you want to switch which belongs
sure.
to what. There's that really, really strong sense of chemistry between everybody.
Agree. Here's a question. Is there anyone working today who even approaches this level of comedy, satire, story structure? I have one person in
Like
mind.
besides The Rock, you mean?
Obviously. Besides The Rock. Because I have one in mind.
No.
I have one in mind. Okay, I think he hits the comedy, but not the 2 years of planning, but Sacha Baron Cohen. Because he not only did he do Borat and what's the one with the gay guy? Bruno, but he also did The Dictator,
yeah.
which is not a good movie, but he was aspiring to the same heights that this was. So I admire him for that.
I would say in terms of the spirit of physical comedy, I'm biased, as everyone here has heard tonight. I got out of my second viewing of Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
Yes,
And
yes. I
don't want to spoil it, but there is like uses of physical comedy and gag that I think honestly like almost are like closer to like Chaplin or Buster Keaton.
Okay.
Actually, I think you will enjoy it specifically. Think Buster Keaton if you go to go see
Gotcha.
it.
Okay.
So, but again, that's one movie that's just recency bias. Sacha Baron Cohen. I'm a tougher sell on that just because again, I more think of watching this of those physical gags that he
Sure.
does,
Okay,
and I
okay,
think
okay.
and I think Sacha Baron Cohen is more on the shock of when he does physical
Yeah.
gag versus the comedy that comes from the gag itself.
Okay. I'll give you that.
But I hear you out.
Yeah. Okay. Ian, do you have anyone?
I don't know. I've never really been that big into comedy.
Okay.
So my knowledge of comedy is very, very shallow. I can't adequately answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for the physicality, maybe Jim Carrey, but I feel like he doesn't do a lot of like movies where he's trying to say something serious.
yeah.
At least not when he's being physical. I don't know.
Again, it's more
Yeah.
kind of in the shock realm, closer to Sacha Baron Cohen.
Tom
but-
Green.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm witnessing. Eric Andre, maybe.
Who's that again?
Okay.
He had a show on Adult Swim where he was doing a spoof like cable access talk show.
Okay, I don't think I know him.
Oh my gosh, you have to check it out. But again, he's more on the Sacha. I would say he's more on the Sacha Baron Cohen, like the shock of the gag that he's doing itself. Like there's a bit where he's going around New York saying ranch it up, and he's just drinking ranch, but also like just knocking shit over. But there's not really anything from that is like that suggests, like we've talked about. Nothing about that is 2 years thinking about the gag itself.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think the level of choreography that comes with the comedy that's featured in this movie sets that in a real league of its own.
Yeah.
I personally can't think of anybody that is doing that level.
I'm just trying to imagine Charlie Chaplin saying, ranch it up, Hannah.
Ranch it up.
Yeah.
And as his like cane is still bending. Yeah. He puts his bowler hat on and it's filled with ranch.
Oh, there we go. It's part of the scene where he's fighting with
Yes. Yes, instead of the strawberry, instead of the English mustard.
Yes.
See, that shows how
ranch.
timeless this really is.
Right.
Okay, so how about this? The last thing we have to talk about, and this is the part of the movie that I think left us all speechless, was the final speech at the end. Was that not incredible, Ian?
It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
It gave me goosebumps for a number of reasons. First of all, just Second World War was a horrible thing. And to hear those words and to know that they were from right at the beginning, it was inspiring. But to have so much overlap between the current temperature of the world now and the temperature of the world then.
Yeah.
And to hear so many things, that's not the only little like, oh wow, this is a little bit too on the nose.
Right.
But the world needs somebody like Charlie Chaplin now to stand up and say, look guys, come on. And to have everyone, it was too on the nose. It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how relevant it is still today. Even down to like him talking about robot men.
Yeah, you're not machines.
You're not machines is so crazy because I don't think about technology taking over when I think about this time. Like it in my brain, it was still like a tool.
But it was very
feels
much
like
on the
it's
forefront.
Right.
Yeah. Well, think about the line where he says, was it that the telephone, the airplane have brought us all closer?
Right.
That was a good line because now
Yeah.
we're in the age of the internet and social media, right? But back then, imagine like he made a film called Modern Times that was just about, like assembly lines and machines replacing human labor and stuff like that. And just to think of growing up in the time when radio was new and aeroplanes were new, right? Like what a crazy time to be alive.
But
right?
we have the same sort of concerns now, right? Like back then, the radio is new, airplanes are new, and this mechanization is going to end all our jobs. And now we have
AI.
social media and AI, and these things are going to end all our jobs. It's the same thing. It's just a different villain.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually from like a dramatic or like film standpoint, I think you can watch that speech in isolation and still come away with it being wild. Like its use of rhetoric, the way that it's written, excellent speech. The way it works within its weaving of the film really, like, I think hits it so far out of the park.
Totally
I think
agree.
just having that, like, is even the barber, I don't think he strings more than 2 or 3 sentences together.
right.
The
Yeah.
entire movie.
That's a great
and,
point.
And then you contrast again his double performance as Henkel, where he's speaking no less than 120 decibels the entire time.
Yeah.
Again, that's not to take away the speech in isolation, but that's what really, really makes it just that perfect pin for the whole movie.
And something else about that moment, the build up to it is perfect, right? Because the Jewish barber, he has been like, he's trying to sneak away, but in trying to sneak away, he's in disguise as Henkel, and he gets roped in, and we see the stakes raise and raise and raise. He's like, should we turn around? Should we turn around? to the point that he's now giving a speech to everybody. And as he's climbing the podium, we're like, how's he going to get out of this? Certainly not expecting. Well, I mean, we all knew that the speech was coming, but at the time, you're not expecting him to address the nation. You're expecting some sort of slapsticky way for him to get out of it.
Yeah, I think that the comedy in the story up until that point kind of lowered our defenses, right? Like we're not really expecting it, and it makes the speech that much more meaningful because it is relevant to everything that happens, even though what we see is like kind of funny and you know, it's really powerful.
Yeah, it was very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And again, as much as, and every bit, the way that he weaves it in, especially with the serious commentary he's making, really worked, I think, for all of us. There was one bit where the megalomaniacal political elites are trying to work through their financial fixer named Epstein. I don't follow. Can someone at home?
Everyone in the room kind of looked at each other and said, whoa,
I think the word is eesh.
It's crazy that the Dictator is connected to Epstein too, right?
What
Like
a wacky idea. Anyway, so here's my final thing. You know, history is being erased in the United States as we speak. But I mean, besides statues and besides you know plaques, we can also read old books and we can also watch old movies. And I think, I mean, I don't mean to say this just because I'm a movie buff, but we should all be watching old movies, I think. And this is an example of an old movie that I think we should all watch, right? But there's plenty of them, and maybe we'll watch another old movie soon.
I'm sure
maybe
we will.
Another silent film,
I'm
maybe.
sure. Well, we haven't seen a silent film yet.
Yeah, why not, right? Okay, anyway, we want to thank Nick for joining us.
And I wanted to thank you all for having me again, the prodigal guest returning.
That's right. I want to thank Champion for hosting Movie Night every week.
My pleasure. This was a fun one.
Yes, and, it was. A lot of fun. I'm glad we did it.
Poignant, yes.
Yes. Joshua Mervell, I want to thank you for telling everyone where we can find our episodes.
Okay.
Every week.
You can find all of our stuff on our website at comicbooksyndicate.com. Check us out there. Let us know what you guys think about this movie. And if you guys have any suggestions for other movies like this, we'd love to hear from you.
More to come every week at Uniplex. Until the next time, see you later.